Welcome to Bold Talk Series, where creativity, leadership, ideas, innovation come together. My name is Epi Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Nathalie Goldstein, co-founder, CEO at MyExpatTaxes. Nathalie, great seeing you. Welcome to our Bold Talk Series. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here. We had a little joke when I first joined the call that we're matching, so it's fall. So it's
Yeah.
very nice to be here and excited for the talk.
Yeah, not just we're just matching on our outfit. There's also the background, some kind of like gray, and it's amazing. So, Natalie, we know each other from a past. You guys been part of our Bold Awards. You won, I think, like a fourth edition in one of the categories. But I want to first start with you. So you built a company that simplifies one of the most stressful process for millions of Americans abroad. What first sparked the idea for My Expat Taxes? And can you take us back to the moment you realized this had to become more than just a personal solution?
Yeah. So, there's always a backstory, right? You probably can hear from my voice. I'm living in Austria, but I'm not Austrian. I don't quite have that Austrian accent there yet, but I've been living here for 10 years. And basically, I'm from California. I moved. And when I moved, I had actually relocated with my company. So obviously, this was a year of a lot of chaos. I was working in a US company. I worked in the same company, but the Austrian entity. And then it came to tax time. And, the Austrian taxes are just taken care of. Like, I don't really have to do anything,
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, you still have to file your US taxes. So, I'm talking to the HR support in my company and I'm like, well, will you help me because you helped relocate me? They were like, no, we don't help with that. You can go talk to, one of our big four partners, right? And then so they just gave me like an email. So I emailed them and then they were like, well, it's going to be 2,000 euros to like just talk.
Just thought.
I don't really have, I wasn't making enough money to warrant
Yeah.
paying for filing tax. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm an adult. I can do this. And so I try, all the things I would do back home. So I use, all the popular online tax softwares. We all know them. And I remember using one of them, like the most popular one. And I was like, okay, I live in Austria. And then it asks me again, well, it looks like you're living outside the US. I'm like, yeah, I live in Austria. And then like, questions down. Oh, it seems like you're not actually in the US. Yes, I live in Austria. And it just continues. So I was ripping, long story short, I used all the online solutions, almost ripped out all my hair, was completely stressed. And then I tried, okay, I'll use a specialized firm. They still charge me like $500. That's fine. And then, when the notices happened and things like that, they like went to Australia and not to Austria. And I was like, I can't do this again. Like this was so stressful. And this shouldn't have been stressful. And if I am like here, like, dying during this process, how do all my peers feel about it? And so this was just something I had in the back of my mind. I have to at least solve this for myself. And then obviously it aligned really well with just the way that my career was going, the people I met at the company I was working with. And I had a good team of colleagues and we worked really well together and we wanted to start a company together. And then that was the things. I had a team and then I told them what I was suffering through and they said, yeah, let's automate this. And so they brought in that background of software development. I brought in the background of finance and accounting. And that's pretty much how it went. It's just
Amazing.
something to deal with. And then being able to be lucky enough to find other individuals that are willing to help me solve my pain point and make it a real solution for millions around the world. So
Yeah.
that's the
That's
story.
and once you started this journey, you found out, well, this is a problem everywhere for every American living abroad. I've been living for the past 12 years in Singapore, and it was the same thing, right? And so this is truly so. Once you really understand the problem very clearly, and you are knowing how painful this problem is, especially during that time in April. Uh, which everybody leaves it to the last minute. It's crazy.
Everyone leaves it to the last minute. You don't even want to know what it looked like on October 15th for us. So everyone leaves it to the last second.
So for you, April is like, it's crazy. It's a crazy, crazy month, I assume, right?
Yes. It's pretty intense.
So Natalie, so you turned this painful experience with filing your own tax into a thriving global business now. What emotions or lessons from that moment still drive how you lead and innovate today?
I think The main thing is that there's still so much to be done. So like when we had first created MyExpatTaxes, obviously we were not thinking, hey, we're going to solve this problem for every single American abroad. We're going to solve this, for maybe the majority. So simple cases, people that are salaried, do the best we can because we don't know the full landscape yet. And the thing is, that was 8 years ago. And now it's come to the point where MyExpatTaxes, we are the leading tax software just for do-it-yourself simple cases, but people can come in and they can have companies, they can have foreign investments, they can have foreign trust, they can have really complex situations. And we're always there looking at, well, how do we make this easier? How do we automate it? Because what really drives me is, and this has been since the beginning, is that I think the ideas in the tax industry, it's like sometimes people just want to do this the most painful way possible, right? For the individual that's doing their taxes, for the preparer that's doing the taxes. Like, I feel like the standard is just like, we're going to make this as complicated and as nerve-wracking as possible. And I really want to move away from that. I want people to not feel that taxes is stressful, but they actually look at it as like a nice, empowering summary. Okay, well, how much did you make last year? If you had a business, was it profitable? Were there things that you could optimize? Did you get the maximum tax refund that you could have? Did you make sure that you owed as little as you could? And then even think about, well, if you're still trying to contribute to the US market, right? Are you making your maximum contributions to your individual retirement account? Are you, maybe selling off assets to help you get a taxable loss to help offset any taxes on your US tax return? And so I would really like the narrative to not be that taxes is so stressful, but like this is something that people actually, I mean, I don't know if you'll look forward to it, but something that you feel like, okay, I'm confident in the amount of money I earn. And I'm confident in the things I want to do in my own financial journey. And I understand that this filing, even though someone's making me do it, it's a great tool for me to actually understand, what I can do with my money and how I can secure a more, stable financial health for myself for now and the future. And so that's kind of what's always driving me is how do we turn that conversation to say this is a process we can enjoy to, obviously some extent, but we can enjoy it. And then not only that, but we can use that information to help us further and not just say, okay, I filed this and I ignore it, but think a little bit more about your financials throughout the whole year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just a one event. It's like an ongoing process, right? And so I always say the wealthy people, they never think how much taxes they pay because they understand how everything works. Where the people who are just like, they're just doing these normal jobs, they think is like, okay, well, it's got to be this one event, and they don't really understand, and they don't even. I started to fall in love with the problem and also with numbers, for example, as entrepreneurs. I didn't like numbers that much, but entrepreneurship made me like numbers, and so now I fall in love with the problem with numbers. So same thing. People need to really understand it and start to really understand this better. Now, Natalie, building tax software that's both user friendly and compliant is not easy. You mentioned you have your co-founders coming from a development side of things. What was one of the hardest challenges you faced in making the product seamless for users while you ensuring accuracy and trust? Because one time people hit and they don't have that confidence, they will never come back. That's how I
Yeah,
that
of course. The thing is, there's a couple layers to this. So obviously the first one is how do you make honestly some topics that are quite complex, right? Easy to understand. So the first thing is always, well, how do we translate the tax code into not just algorithms that calculate, the right answer, but also help people understand how to answer those questions so that we're triggering the right type of forms and all the things that you need in your tax return. And so that is always a very interesting learning experience because obviously in me now I'm reading tax law pretty much every day, right? And so it's some things are very apparent and obvious to me. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But this is not obvious to the average person. And so that's where I really enjoy working with the team. And yeah, of course, it's, we have our developers, but it's also about the marketing team and the support team and the taxpayers that are actually working with the clients and just being able to all work together to say like, okay, this is a new form we're going to support. This is how we think that it should look. And then having multiple people in the team say, like, this is not easy for people to understand, and being able to take that feedback and really keep iterating it until it's like, okay, this is easy for that person to use. And we're still hitting all the things we need to hit in terms of compliance. And it's also, as I see other tax competitors, popping out, right? Because it's people are noticing that, yeah, there are 9 million, technically Americans living around that have this problem. And so, of course, we have competitors now popping up. We were the first tax software, and we continue to be the leading one and the most compliant one. And it's for a reason, because we don't believe in shortcuts. Like, I would never want someone to go through a tax software and they answer the question and they feel that they submit something correct. And then they realize they're missing all these forms. They're missing reporting certain things like the contributions to their pension that they have to report as additional wages. And it's that thing is, okay, we have to make sure that we cover those bases, because it's not about just having a tax software that lets people to use it super fast and super easy, but it's also, well, this has to be compliant. We have to check all the boxes. And so, yeah, there is that balance we have to find there to just make sure that we don't make MyExpatTaxes too complex, but also not sacrificing that this has to be compliant. Like, that is the number one thing, is that a user has to trust that if they go in and they answer the questions, that they have all the forms they need and they make all the disclosures they need to do. And every time we see people coming from competitors and asking us to review the prior year tax returns or to fix it, I always feel so bad when I'm like, I'm so sorry, but you had a foreign corporation and you didn't disclose any of that. And it's because that tax software you use, it didn't ask those questions. And then now they have to go and pay again to re-amend all those returns. So definitely it's a balance, right? I don't want to, ask so many questions, but I hope that everyone understands that there are questions we have to
That you
ask.
have to ask.
We don't want anyone to have to amend their tax return. We want the first go to be 100% correct.
Yeah. Now, there's no conversation today without including the AI part of it, right? So the tax tech space is evolving fast. You mentioned about competition is getting bigger, this automation AI now. What changes do you think will most transform how expats interact, but also with finances, but also in look in terms of the what's coming up next few years?
I think in general, it's amazing that people can have more access to this information, right? Because it is now that you don't have to know the exact keywords to search for that IRS publication. You can search, okay, generally this is my situation, and you're led there. So I really enjoy that the average person can have more information about this. And maybe it's not that overwhelming, right? Because that's also this education part. Of course, as I always say, AI should be something that should help you kind of form a hypothesis. But at the other side, you can't trust it fully, right? Because we all know AI tends to hallucinate sometimes. And so, everyone that's using AI to try to optimize their own tax returns or understand what's going on, I really think that is an amazing thing to do, to spend the time and do the research. But I also say, make sure that, you click on the links, the sources, that you only trust, certified government sources, right? Because someone's interpretation that they wrote in a blog can definitely get picked up in AI, but that doesn't mean that that's how the IRS would interpret the law that they wrote, right? And so obviously, keep that in mind, because that is the state that AI still currently is in. And then now on the other side, for preparers and for software developers and for us as a business, I think it is, again, it's amazing because it helps make things move faster, right? It's a nice colleague to have where you can bounce ideas with, but you always have to have the caveat that this is not the final answer, right?
Verified. You gotta have a human intellect to verify it.
You do. It's, we have a new planning dashboard in MyExpatTaxes where people can go, and for the next year, they can actually say, okay, I'm thinking about selling my property. Obviously, you have to make those decisions this year if you want to not have any surprises on your next year's tax return. And so this would be, okay, these are all the verified IRS sources. These are the calculators. This is how it's really going to work. And that was something we said, okay, this is going to be a lot more helpful, because we see people just asking these questions on, any AI chatbot, and they're not really getting the right answers. And so that's why we said, okay, we will build a platform where you can basically ask those questions, but all the sources are verified of the actual calculator. And you have to doubt, is this like actually what the IRS said? But
Do you see an AI agent in the future, like you're just, come and does all these things for you and says, here's your taxes now. You don't have to stress out.
I think there's always going to have to be some type of back and forth communication. And maybe we get there. I'm not one to say it's not possible. I think everything's possible, right? But there's always errors that can happen. So I think if someone goes, okay, this is going to be, I don't have to do anything. I just do this and then it's just done and I don't even have to look at it. I mean, it's the same as working with a human, right? You don't want to be in a position where you just give someone, okay, this is all my documents. I don't even look at what you produce. I just sign it and walk away. Like even for MyExpatTaxes, I hope that everyone looks at their tax return and they understand what they're signing, right? Because that is important. And so if you're using AI to do that, just like you would with a human tax professional, just verify the output.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah. You've been named Forbes 30 under 30 and holding a U.S. patent. These are great achievements. How does that help you build your balance and keeping that focus in terms of the what's next? Obviously the awards and all these are, but it's kind of a stepping stone to go to another level of greatness, right?
Yeah, the awards are always really nice, right? It's nice to see kind of your hard work presented in front of you, I guess. For me, I'm always on the next problem. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of one of those people where I don't necessarily take the pause to celebrate, and I should. I know I should. I know that that is very important.
Not all the
Right?
time.
Everyone says that. Everyone says that,
I'm the
but
same too.
yeah, it's just one of those things where like I'll see it in my email. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then it's like, oh, but I still have to solve this problem in front of me. And so for me, what I am really proud of is the things that we achieve in the company. And we don't necessarily, nobody gives us an award for launching my expat planning, right? But that is the thing I'm proud of, is that because I know the hard work that went into getting all the teams together, right? That to take something from an idea to actually make it a product, like that is what drives me, because then I see, okay, we can do this. I see then our users actually using it and giving us the feedback that this is great, or hey, can we add this feature? And so I would say that those actual internal company milestones and projects, those are the big achievements for me that kind of drive me to say, okay, like let's add more to portfolio. These users need this form now added, we're going to do that. Like we're having people now coming in, like more people with foreign corporations are starting to understand that they have to do certain things. So let's cater to that audience as well. So the others are definitely nice. You put on LinkedIn because that's what you do with them.
That's awesome.
That's,
Yeah.
it's internal company things that really.
Well said. Natalie, I'm truly enjoying this conversation. It's a short format. Hopefully we'll have a longer format conversation for next time. Always love asking this question to my guests. This is about the word bold. What does that mean to you personally?
Bold is, for me, it's to just do something. To if you believe in something, if you have an opinion about something, to say it, to do it, and that's what it is, right? Is to not, what's that saying? Like,
It's like Nike says, just do it, right?
yeah, just do it. Like, go hide behind the bushes. Don't
Don't
try to
overthink it.
go for it, right? That's literally what, if you bold a word, right? It's in your face. Like you just go for it.
Yeah, this is well said. I remember starting early in my career in marketing and sales, and started with the sales, and you have to pick up that call to call someone cold. And if you don't just do it and pick up the call and call that person, you're going to think so much about so many other things that you're never going to do it, right? And so this is well said. Nathalie, I truly enjoyed this conversation. Wishing you all the great success in the future. Looking forward to have you guys again, hopefully in our next editions. Until that time, take care, be great, and be bold always. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.